So saunas have been used for decades as a potential means to, boost the immune system. And, numerous studies have shown that people who go into the sauna several times a week are at a significantly lower risk of things like pneumonia, influenza, even the common cold. And there was a clinical study to test this out. So they took 50 individuals and they split them into two different groups. One group went into the sauna several times a week. The other group did not for several months. And the group that got sauna sessions had about a 50% lower risk of getting the common cold. And how we think this works is sort of like mimicking a fever, right? So if we get exposed to a pathogen, our first line of defense typically is to raise core body temperature. But why? What's the reason behind that? So essentially, when you raise core body temperature, you activate these things called heat shock proteins. And we've evolved with these proteins to sort of help us, get through a viral infection. And essentially what happens is heat shock protein 70 can dock onto the viral ribonucleoprotein complex, which needs to be exported out of the cell in order for a virus to replicate. And essentially, in order for that viral ribonucleoprotein complex to export, the M1 protein needs to dock onto it and bind to it, and then that allows the exportation of the viral ribonucleoprotein complex. But heat shock protein 70 can dock on and bind to it and prevent M1 protein from basically binding and allowing that viral ribonucleoprotein complex to export. So there's numerous studies in animals too showing that if you heat shock them prior to giving them lethal influenza, they have a significantly lower risk of dying, lung pathology, and even viral replication too. So we see this in animals as well, even cold-blooded animals. So if you throw a cold-blooded animal essentially in a sauna and you raise their core body temperature, if you give them and infect them with a pathogen, a lethal pathogen, their mortality rate is significantly lower. So this doesn't just happen in warm-blooded mammals. This also happens in cold-blooded animals as well. So there is benefits to raising core body temperature against viruses.